There is no daylight between House and Senate Republicans. We are all on one big team with the same mission, and that is to deliver the America First agenda. Heading up to the March 14th deadline, we'll have to probably pass a clean CR instead of separate approach bills. Why? Because the Democrats in Congress were trying to demand that as a condition of appropriations that we would somehow tie the hands of the president, limit his authority. Our goal is to make the tax cuts permanent, and we need to do that because it gives stability to people who are trying to make decisions long term. The devil's in the details is in every piece of legislation to find out how exactly to enact the savings that will allow us to do that. But I think we'll have enough room to do it. It starts Monday morning, but we've been doing the preparation for it for more than a year. So I'm absolutely convinced that we're going to accomplish this mission.
And that's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, with me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures with the next steps on reconciliation ahead of the March 14th government shutdown deadline. Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis joined us last week here on how to make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. Watch.
I think that the Senate is really focused on making the 2017 tax cuts permanent, and that would be something that the House bill does not yet do. So there needs to be discussions between House and Senate leaders and the White House to make sure we can make those cuts permanent, and that then we can address some of the issues related to other entitlement programs. So
you could make the argument that you still need a two-track process here because you want to make the tax cuts permanent. You got it. I do make that argument and support that argument. Joining me now is former Speaker of the House and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. He's the author of the upcoming book, Trump's Triumph, which can be pre-ordered right now. Newt, great to see you. Congrats on the new book. That is a good one. You've told me the last time we were together that the tax bill needs to be on Trump's desk no later than the 4th of July. That's the absolute latest, unless if it doesn't impact the midterm elections. What are your thoughts here? Mike Johnson had a big victory getting that budget resolution passed last week, but the Senate makes the point, as you just heard from Cynthia Lummis, that their plan on two tracks makes the tax cuts permanent. How do you see it?
Well, I don't understand the Senate's point. I mean, if they've got a plan that makes the tax cut permanent, roll it into one bill and do it. There doesn't have to be two bills. I don't get it. The fact is that Speaker Johnson understands that he's part of a governing coalition. That with a Republican president, Donald Trump, the job of House and Senate Republicans is to find a way to get to yes. You know, when you're the opposition party, you find a way to get to no. And unfortunately, some of the House Republicans in particular got into that habit of saying no all the time. The victory the other day was really extraordinarily important. The bill was passed, one big, beautiful bill, as the president put it. Speaker Johnson got almost all the way there. President Trump got the last few votes and put him over the top. There's no excuse for the Senate to not now look at how do we get the tax cuts, and I'm happy if they can get them permanent, but we need to get them done so that the 2026 economy is dramatically stronger. We're sliding towards a recession, and that's just a fact. We've inherited, just as Reagan inherited Carter's bad economy, President Trump inherited Biden's bad economy. To power your way out of that bad economy, you need deregulation and tax cuts, and you need them in May, June, at the very latest, the 4th of July, so they have effect in 2026. That is vital if what we're trying to do is keep control of the House and not allow the Democrats to cripple the last 2 years of the Trump presidency with investigations, impeachments, all the things Nancy Pelosi did.
Yeah, and that's what I keep bringing up, the fact that, look, we're already looking at a situation where President Trump inherited a tough economy, but now with DOJ cutting jobs and slimming down the government, people are asking the question, does that induce a recession? You know, look at the GDP Now numbers. They're expecting a contraction in the first quarter.
Right, and I think there's a natural process here. If you want to, in fact, get spending under control, you're going to reduce the fiscal stimulation of the economy by government spending. On the other hand, you're going to start bringing down interest rates, and if you pass the tax cuts and the deregulation, you're going to create an environment where people want to create businesses, they want to be able to go out and hire people, and with the revolution that's coming in artificial intelligence, you're just going to see a continuing move in the direction of America being the most competitive society in the world.
Yeah.
But it has to happen quickly in order to keep the House Republican in 2026.
Yeah, you make the right point, and I know they're obviously thinking about this as well. So let's talk about tomorrow night, Newt. President Trump will address a joint session of Congress at 9 p.m. Eastern. Yesterday, Mike Johnson said, oh, it's going to be fireworks, Maria. Democrats, however, are again planning this whole resist. I don't understand this. They're reportedly bringing guests, they claim, who have been, quote, harmed by the Trump administration's early actions, or those people who will be hurt by the House Republican budget. Not sure who they're referring to, but Michigan Senator Elisa Slotkin is set to deliver the official rebuttal from Democrats. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said that she's going to explain how Democrats are fighting to protect Social Security and Medicaid while Republicans are cutting taxes for billionaires and Elon Musk. Newt, how do you see it?
Well, look, they don't get it. The fact is the country believes government's too big. The country believes, in one Gallup poll, that almost 50% of federal spending is waste. The country believes that the system is corrupt. And certainly if you look at some of the things we're learning from DOJ, there's no question that, I mean, even I've been very shocked at some of the things we were paying for and some of the things that are pure waste. I think when you talk about, for example, Medicaid, there's a substantial amount of fraud. If you had the same level of fraud in Medicaid that you have with Visa or MasterCard or American Express, you would save hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, if the Democrats want to be the party that insists on paying crooks and they want to be the party that insists on supporting waste, that's their prerogative. But the American people do not want to be told that government is so wonderful that it cannot be reformed, it cannot be touched. And I think the Democrats are walking into a blind canyon where they're going to end up looking like they don't understand the average American at all.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think the resistance is going to be a lot harder this time around because people are onto it. They understand what President Trump and this administration is trying to do. But, wow, what a blowout on Friday, Newt. Did you watch it live? Zelenskyy claims now Ukraine is ready. Okay, so Zelenskyy claims he's ready to sign the rare earth minerals deal now after that explosive Oval Office meeting with the president. Trump says Zelenskyy will be welcomed back to the White House when and if he is ready for peace. And Secretary Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, said as of now the deal is no longer on the table. Just in time for Zelenskyy says he's ready to sign. How do you see all of this?
Well, look, I actually thought that President Trump was very much behaving like President Eisenhower, who was very tough in negotiations and who, frankly, was very tough on the Europeans because Eisenhower was totally committed to America and he was committed to reducing the fiscal burden of government, and he wanted to make sure that our allies did their fair share. I think clearly Zelenskyy cheated on Friday. And if you look at the very opening, which the news media has not carried very much, you know, Trump is happy. He is positive. This is going to be a great meeting. We're going to get this signed. It's a step towards peace. And then all of a sudden it turns out Zelenskyy is not there to sign it. He's there to negotiate in front of the cameras. And I think that President Trump and Vice President Vance both felt that they had been cheated and hoodwinked, and they would not have accepted the meeting if they'd understood that Zelenskyy was not going to sign.
Yeah.
So I think Zelensky's in a deep hole. The Europeans cannot possibly replace America, and I think that he will have to come back to the table and have to sign something to regain the president's support.
Well, I mean, at a minimum, Trump got the Europeans to wake up. Right? I mean, finally, they're saying, OK, we're going to come up with a peace plan and then show it to the United States. Zelenskyy spent the weekend, you know, with the Europeans, first meeting with UK Prime Minister in London. So at a minimum, that whole showdown got Europe to get involved.
Look, what we're going to discover very quickly is that the Europeans can issue press statements. They have no money. They have no military. They have no capacity to replace us. And it's going to become very obvious that he has to come back to the United States.
All right. We'll leave it there. Speaker, always a pleasure. Great to see you, Newt Gingrich. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.